Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jacob Folger, artist sculptor, and today we are going to make a tree sitting on a sculpted rock with a moss foliage on the top. And it'll be dried moss. And we're going to be using air dry clay. And this clay is actually Amaco brand's modeling clay or air dry clay, yes. And it's really quite nice. Nice, very easy to work with. And I've got a little lid, plastic lid I'm going to sculpt it on. And so we'll just get started. So I'm going to start forming my rock. The first thing I'm going to do is just roll a ball. And so this will be the rock that the tree is sitting on. I'm just going to kind of press it. I don't want it to be like totally flat. I just want it to be kind of, looking a little bit like a rock. And, so it's kind of round down here, you know what I mean? But it's semi-flat on the bottom, so, yeah. And then I'm going to get a little bit of clay and I'm going to roll a ball like this. And then I'm going to roll it into kind of like a cone shape, kind of like that. And I'm going to flatten it out on the bottom a little bit. And then I'm going to take kind of a sharp tool like this and score where I want the stalk of the tree to go. And also the bottom of the tree. This will just help it join better and have a little bit more structural integrity. So I wet both parts. And then applying gentle downward pressure, I press it into the clay and also twisting a little bit into the rock. We'll call that the rock, even though it doesn't look like a rock right now. Okay. Now I just want kind of simple roots right now, I think. So I'm just roll like a little cone shape. And I'm just going to put it right here and blend it in. Blend it in all the way around, like that. And I'm going to get another little bit, fold it into a ball and then kind of a cone shape. Like that. Put it on the other side here. And blend it in. The plastic lid does kind of help because it's, smooth on top. And I'm going to pinch this off a little bit. There. And so you can kind of spin it around, If it was wood or something like that, it wouldn't move so easily for you. And then I'm going to come around this side and put one more root in. A little ball of clay. Roll it into kind of a cone shape like this. Put it on and blend it in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lean the tree this way. And then holding my hand, my fingers right here, I'm going to kind of curve it back. This is kind of a regular thing I do with my trees. I like them to look, you know, kind of natural. That's kind of my idea behind that. And kind of, I call it artistic form. I know it's maybe kind of hard to follow. What does that mean exactly? Well, to me, just, you know, smooth and flowing and kind of natural, you know? Definitely want it standing up. So I do look at this angle frequently and make sure that it's actually standing up fairly straight. Okay. Now, I'm going to just start to form kind of just a little bit hints of branches there. I'm not going to make really big branches. I'm just going to make really simple ones. So I'm going to score here where I'm going to put the branch. I've just got a little one here. And I'm going to score that. A little bit of water. Put it on. And blend it in. This clay, by the way, is really a joy to work with. I know that some people like to make their own clay, but I really recommend that you go ahead and buy yourself some decent modeling clay. And again, I do recommend the Amaco brand. As you can see, it's really very easy to sculpt. And, you know, it just takes... You don't want to be frustrated with the clay. You want the clay to work for you the way you put it, stay the way you put it, and all that. So again, scoring and attaching it and then blending it in. And come around this side, blend it in. I'm going to add another little branch there as well. A little cone shape like that. Score it where it's going to go. Score this. Add a little bit of water. And put it on with a kind of downward pressing and twisting motion. It kind of looks like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll take a sculpting tool and just kind of cut along the root here a little bit. And then go around and just kind of cut it around the rock. This will help it also secure to the rock and kind of make it look like it's really, you know, growing on the rock. One thing I like to do with trees, you know how when I was a little kid, we lived in this town called Peabody, Massachusetts. We had a big old tree in our front yard, and it had a knothole in it. So just to kind of bring me back, there's something about that. It's just a memory, you know? You know how memories are. I like to put little knotholes in my trees. It's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a teardrop thing. Kind of natural. Like that. Yeah, it's very natural looking, isn't it? I'm going to just work on this rock a little bit. I'm just going to maybe add some texture to it. Just pressing on it with the tool. Just want to straighten that up a little bit. You also can take like sharper tool and maybe, you know, just put little kind of striations in it. No, randomly. You can also just kind of carve maybe a little bit of a point right here where the roots come. Okay, so I'm just working on the rock a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of clay and just kind of add to the rock down at the base, and you know, so it's not so round. And maybe a little bit over here too. If it's clay, you probably should just touch it with a paintbrush a wet paintbrush every once in a while. Especially up here, you know, where you got these spindly little areas, so it doesn't dry out on you. You can just take your brush like this, wet brush, and just touch it like that. You can also use like a spray bottle, but on a piece that's this small, I don't like to do that too much. And then after I put that on there, that little extra part, I'm going to kind of round it down here a little bit. So again, it's not just flat, you know, kind of round it a little bit. Because, you know, there's a little bit of an undercut here. Now check for, make sure it's standing straight. Every once in a while, check that. Yeah, and you can take a sculpting tool and just put markings in it. Just to give it more of kind of a natural stony appearance. I want to define the root along the rock. Maybe cut in like a little bit here, a little bit there, so there's a little bit of a point there. Also here. Take your tool and kind of go up underneath and just kind of round that off on the bottom a little bit. Just pressing at the base like that. That'll just make it seem more like a rock, you know? Okay, now we can take a ball tool like this and just go in and add texture to it, and not so much, you know, just scratching to get it done. Don't think like that. Think more like, you know, trying to do it kind of flowing. Go up underneath the branches and up underneath like that. It's a nice flowing, kind of smooth, but, you know, texture at the same time. Take your time. This is really relaxing, and I'll tell you, you get to do this for yourself, make your own tree. It's really just beautiful. Wonderfully relaxing thing. I'm going to go ahead and do the tops of the branches as well. Like that. And just work on the stone again a little bit. Put some texture in it. And cut underneath again, you know, because sometimes working on the clay, you're applying pressure and you don't want that to flatten out too much. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break and set this aside and work on the moss top for it. Okay, we've got some dry moss here. And I find this on Amazon, that's why I usually buy it. But they sell big boxes of it. I used to use it a lot. But, you can probably get it, like Ace Hardware, I think, carries it. I'll look it up and find some sources for it and put some links in the video description where you might be able to find it. You also can find it at, like, your local florist. They often have moss there. When I get it, it's oftentimes little small bits like this. And what I do is I pull them apart like this. And then I have a lid like this. And I put it in the lid like that. And I have some Elmer's glue all here. And you could use Elmer's glue, but I like the stronger multi-purpose, the stronger formula. I prefer that. And I take a brush and dip it in, and put it on the moss. The glue will dry clear, so. And then I take a piece and put it in there and press it down, and I put some more glue in there. Like that. And add some more moss. And just kind of press it in, and then what I do is just press down on it like this and give it a few minutes to dry, maybe 10 minutes. And then we can use scissors and form it to be the top of our tree. So let's give that a few minutes and come back. Okay, so the moss is dry now. And so I'm going to get my tree over here so I can keep it in mind when I'm working with this moss. So I'm just going to start trimming it. Doesn't have to be all that big, but just kind of shaping it. I want it to be kind of, really just like curving like this, like. Let me bring this back so you can see. So maybe something like that. And what you can also do, instead of when you cut it, see it, I don't know if you can see that, but it's really kind of not very natural, so you can just pull off bits of it. And when you do that, you get like these little bits kind of coming out, which make it look kind of natural. I don't want to make it too small, but so I don't want it as big as it was. So no, it's pretty good. Maybe this way. Yeah, looks pretty natural like that. Okay, so that'll work. All right. Now we just want to finish up our tree and bring it to the point where we are really happy with it. So just take your time, go around, make sure it's all nice and sculpted in. You got your texture. And if you touched it a whole lot, you want to keep in mind that some of the texture might have wiped away. So you definitely want to just double check that. Make sure it's sitting up straight. Add some texture to your rock. And then remember to undercut the rock on the around the base. So it'll still be flat in the bottom, but it'll be more natural kind of. No, because rocks aren't just completely flat. Then you can check everything and at the same time as you go around. Now what we're going to do, put your oven on warm, put the tree on an oven-safe dish, and bake it, or not bake it, but just warm it in the oven for maybe a half hour or so. And then we'll come back and put a finish on it. Now, if your tree is kind of stuck here like this, you can just twist it and slide it off. And then you can just flatten it out on the bottom and kind of smooth that out. And then also you can take your, just cradle a tree in your hand and go around and do the texture again. And you can also texture the bottom a little bit, so it's kind of natural. And then, yeah, just put on an oven-safe dish and warm it up and dry it out for a little while. You don't want to do this for a long time, though, okay? You just want to do it for about a half an hour, okay? And then we'll come back. Okay, I'm back, and the tree is basically dry. It's fairly dry to the touch now. And what I want to do is I want to get an idea about how the moss is going to sit up here and decide the orientation that I want. And then, once I know that, I am going to take a paintbrush. And I've got some white paint here. And I'm going to put it on the top of the branches. Like that. And then I'm going to take my tree top and decide where it's going to go, and then gently press it on top of the white paint without breaking the branches, so you gotta be careful. And that, what that'll do is put a little bit of an imprint on the top of the moss. And I'll know then where to trim it so that it didn't do a great job, but I got an idea. I can see it a little bit here, and right there. So I'm going to trim that later on so that it will kind of be embedded in the branches. if you follow me there. Okay, I'm just going to wipe off that extra paint there. And now I'm going to clean my brush really good. I've got some water off to the side here. And I'm going to take some black paint, and the black paint is going to be the base coat for the finish we're going to do. The finish is going to be two parts. It's going to be a bronze finish on the tree and a stone finish on the stone, or the rock. So the first thing we have to do is paint it all black. So, and we want to work it into all the detail. Sometimes it helps to have your brush a little bit wet when you're doing this. And this paint is acrylic paint. It's actually Utrecht Studio Series Acrylic, but really you could use any kind of black paint. You could use spray paint if you have black spray paint. Ideally, it will be a flat or matte finish. The Utrecht Studio Series Acrylic is a matte finish. You don't really want a high gloss finish. So, go around, paint the tree all the way around, get it into all the details, and do 2 coats, and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back with our black tree and rock, and now we're going to start the next phase of the finish. If you have some nice steel gray paint, that would be great, acrylic paint. If you don't, you can take a little bit of black and a little bit of white and mix it up, and you can make a nice little bit of gray paint there. Or something like that would be good. Maybe a little bit darker. Sorry about the sirens. I live in the city. This is normal. I don't know if where you guys live, but yeah, man. So, so when you get that nice and mixed up to a nice kind of steel gray like that, and wipe off your brush. And then, I'm going to get a little paint on your brush, like that. And then you just want to kind of dab it off on a paper towel. I'm going to show you how to dry brush. It's called dry brushing. And we want to do this on the stone. And this is a finish I used to do on my gargoyles a long time ago. Long time ago, I used to make gargoyles for the Washington National Cathedral Museum shops. They carried my gargoyles for a long time. And I call it the Blackstone Bronze Finish. Now, this parts of the gargoyles would be with the black stone, or gray stone is kind of a gray mottled finish, dry brushed, and then bronze on the other parts of the gargoyles. And it was quite a beautiful invention of mine, I have to say. So, you want to do the stone first, okay? So go around and dry brush it like that. Get the bottom too. A little bit of gray, tap it off, and dry brush the bottom. It should look something like that. Okay. So now, when you clean your brush, maybe get a smaller brush like this and pick up some black. Just black. Don't get the gray, get the black, okay? The black. And go around, touch up the tree where you got the gray on the tree. So you have nice contrast. White showing there. There we go. Okay. Now we're prepared to do a nice bronze finish on it. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're going to be using Pearle's pigments, powdered pigments, and antique bronze. Really lovely stuff. I keep it in a lid because I use it all the time. So there it is in the lid. We're going to use Johnson's paste wax. And you can find this at most hardware stores. It's very popular. You want to put your finger into the wax. Like this, get some on your finger. Then swirl your finger with your thumb. Then dip your finger in the bronze. So it looks like that. And then swirl that with your thumb. See how it kind of makes it really smooth? And then you just want to go along and highlight the tree. You don't want to touch the gray stone, right? Because you don't want bronze on that. Just do a nice highlight. I tend to do it, just a very light touch, so plenty of black is showing, and all that wonderful texture we worked on the tree. Still showing. You know, it's tempting when you see that wonderful bronze to just go and go and go. I take it with a light touch. Don't overwork it. So that is how it should look, like that. Let me get this right here. You see? Isn't that pretty? And then, you know, later when the tree is more dry, you can take a soft cloth and buff the tree, and it's just gorgeous. Oh my God. You'll see when you get a chance to do that. I'm going to take a minute and come back. Okay, so I did start moving a little concave area under the foliage of the moss where the tree branches will reach it. And you just pinch. You can just pinch and create a little concave area in there by pinching and pulling out the little bits of moss. Just be careful not to damage it. And then you can take your Elmer's glue or your whatever you like, whatever you're using, Elmer's glue, glue all, or whatever you happen to have. I recommend like a glue all product or Elmer's product, and get paper towel here. I don't want this really heavy. I just want it. So I dab, some of that glue off the top, off the brush, and then put it on the tree top here. Keeping in mind all this dries clear. Like that. Maybe a little heavier. And clean your brush in water. And then, okay, so we got the glue on, and we're going to take the top and set it on there and just press down lightly, and that will dry probably in about 10 minutes. So there we go. Quite a project, but you know, it's a really beautiful little creation. And yeah. So this, you have to keep in mind that the air dry clay is not waterproof, so you wouldn't want to put this in your garden or anything like that. But you could sculpt it in polymer clay too. So that is an option, of course. Oh, it's a beautiful little tree, I think, and turned out pretty good. So, if you could, please give the video a like. Share it with your friends and maybe on your favorite social media platform. And leave me a comment. I am trying very hard to respond to all comments. And if you have any questions or anything like that, I will give you a detailed, articulate answer. And you can also email pictures of your creations to me. And I'd love to see what you're making with my tutorials. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. And have a great night. Bye-bye.